Wow, wow, wow. Hurricane Milton is coming and you guys are evacuating, or most of you, and I've seen pictures online that the bridges are just standstill on the bridges because there's just no traffic going on. And so it came to wonder, how are people paying for this? Because the average Floridian does not have that much money to spend so much money on evacuation. And so let's look at the average Floridian, what they have and what they don't have. So I have a list here of the average net worth, what they make. So let's go through it. The median household income is approximately $63,000. The per capita income is around $35,000. Minimum wage is sitting currently at $12 per hour. That is going to be rising to $15. The poverty rate in the state is 13%. And top earners are in healthcare and social assistance. And the median salary of that is $63,000. Finance and insurance, the median is $70,000. Professional and technical service, the median is $80,000. So, what do these people spend on cost of living? The median house price is $386,000. The median average rent is $1,400. Utilities, electric, water, garbage is around $175, and transportation, people spend about $800, and groceries $400 to $500 per month on groceries. So that doesn't look too bad. But now let's look at what some of these people are saying.
Y'all be like, y'all need to evacuate. Y'all need to evacuate. Do y'all got evacuation money? Because I can't afford my rent here. You think I can afford to go somewhere else? Like, it's not free to evacuate. Gas already high, and you talking about I need to get on the road, go somewhere, and I got to pay to go wherever I'm going. Like, what are y'all talking about? Evacuate. You're not taking it serious. Baby, my bank account, I guess not taking it serious because I can't afford that.
So this was this creator being super unhappy about their situation in Florida, and I get it. And so some people in the comment section, I love TikTok in the comment section because people are brutally honest because their profiles aren't public. It's not like LinkedIn where everybody's trying to be polite because their employer might see it. And so some of these people actually say evacuation is cheaper than a funeral, and I actually agree. Is absolutely nuts. And then people go on and actually bash Ron DeSantis and bash these Republicans that run the state. And now they're saying that you need about $1,500 for a family of four for 3 to 4 days, gas, food, hotel, and supplies. $1,500. So I've seen other articles that say it's about $1,200 to $1,600 depending on where you go. So now I'm looking at it like, who's going to pay for this? As a finance person on YouTube that I like to talk about, especially for business owners, I was like, who's going to pay for all that? And one of the questions I was looking at is, are you going to still get your money? Are you still going to get paid during this time? Because if I had a small business and you were one of my employees and I wasn't making any money, I would not know, depending on how the business goes, how I would be able to be paying you. Because some say during these crises, you have to pay your employees. And some of them, they say they don't. So online, and it depends what your contract is and what you signed on with your Department of Human Resources. So now I'm looking at it like, man, as a business owner, you're closed down, you can't work, so your employee can't work. So there's a few options. You can take paid time off, or then you just kind of take unpaid leave, but then you're not making money and you're spending money. And if you take paid time off, then that's a whole nother thing. And who wants to take paid time off to evacuate because you're just evacuating? It's like not, you don't want to do it, you have to do it, right? It's not like you're like, I'm going to go to the Caribbean, let me take a week off so I can go to the Caribbean with my friends and drink and have a good time and go scuba diving. No, you're going to have to go someplace where you're safe. So now the dilemma comes in, how are you going to pay for all that? And then to top it all off, people in Florida, I have the numbers right here, don't really have that much in extra savings because credit card debt is also through the roof because they have an average $6,000 in credit card debt. So they have 10% of their household income in credit card debt. And now they need to add another $1,200 to $1,300 on top of that to their credit card debt, because I heavily assume, and this is an assumption, that they do not have the liquid cash to pay for all of this. And especially now, if they're going to lose their wage, they might lose their job, because if there is no job to come back to, you're going to get lost. And I know people are going to be super upset in the comments and write me an email and saying, hey, that's very insensitive. You're saying that these people can't come back to work. No, the mayor of Tampa came out and said, if you're not going to evacuate, you're going to die. It doesn't get more brutal and honest than that. And that's what I love. This is what I love politicians to do. Tell them how it's going to be. And if you're not going to do it, you're just in it to win it, whatever the prize is. But the grand scheme of things is still, how are you going to pay for all of that? And it starts with expensive cars. It starts with expensive insurance. Where does it end? It doesn't, because rent's high, groceries are high, everything's through the roof. Besides your salary, that's not high at all. That's bottom prices. And how are you going to live off of $35,000 a year? How are you going to do it? You almost can't do it. And now, to top it all off, there's another one coming that they're already talking about. So it is constantly coming. And how many times can your personal wallet, can your credit card pick up the tab for you till you realize that, hey, I got to change something? Is it to move more inland into Florida? I don't know. That's what you got to figure out with your family. But the thing is just that everything costs money, and it is so crazy that there is no federal assistance helping you out. And when you're looking at the Carolinas and how those got devastated, they're not even talking about, FEMA's not even talking about. They said, we have no money, our checkbooks are closed. And so now you're looking at it like, yeah, we need Congress to come back in order to approve anything. And yeah, they're not in session right now, so sorry, it's not going to happen. And Tampa is a huge airport and a huge city. And now we're seeing that Disney also closed their parks because of this impact. Colleges are closed and all this other stuff. And now I'm wondering how much revenue is going to be lost that they normally would tax on, right? Because as an hour worked, 1 hour worked is an hour that you're going to get your paycheck for. And that hour is going to be taxed in multiple different ways. With unemployment, with everything, you name it, it's going to be taxed, right? And now you're going to be like, what does that have to do with anything? Well, if you're not going to work, your state isn't going to take in the tax revenue. But the costs are climbing because you're going to have all these contractors cleaning up, doing things. And so while your state is not making money and your biggest business industry leaders are closed that drive the revenue, like the airports, like Disneyland, and all these other things, on top of that, you are going to not get paid because most of these people are maybe hourly, or then your salary and you got to take PTO or something else, because I highly doubt that your employer's going to say, I like you so much that you're going to get paid regardless of what you're going to be doing. Because as a business, your sole purpose is to make a profit and to give back to shareholders if you have some, or to fill your pockets if you are self-employed, because you need rainy day funds just like this as an employer to cover your own ass. And if you rented equipment, if you have a machine shop or anything else, you have to come up with that money every month because it's still ongoing. Doesn't matter if you have distress or anything else, right? And so with this woman talking about she doesn't have any money to evacuate, I looked at who can evacuate and where can you go in Tampa. So I took that screenshot that's going right here, and a huge problem is that they are full. Here we go. Many of Pinellas County existing shelters are experiencing high demand, with more than 6,000 people and over 700 pets in emergency shelters. The special needs shelter at Palm Harbor University High School shelter is now full. So to top it all off, shelters are filling up. because that is a cheap way for people to go and weather it out. But these shelters are now at capacity. So now you gotta have more shelters and other stuff that you can use to get away. And now, please note, parking lots are full at some shelters such as Gables High School, Large High School. Shelter space is still available, but residents may have to park on nearby streets and walk to the shelter. And so this is all great and good, but if you have a disability and are not able to walk, if you're a veteran and you can't do it, then you are pulled the reverse Uno card on you because you're stuck. And now I'm like, man, we got to get these people out, do all this, and you just got to figure out somehow. And it's okay if you have family to do that. But if you are alone and elderly, as a lot of people are in Florida, how are you going to evacuate? How are you going to do all that stuff with your medical conditions and all that? And I know that Tampa Hospital they built that water barrier around, and they're like, hey, we're going to just keep it in place. But how many times can you keep doing that? These are my questions. How many times can you keep running a state or a city or a company in these conditions where there's the next one coming, and it's not when, it's if. No, it's not if, it's when. Actually, I said that wrong. So it's going to be, when is the next one coming? And when do we have to evacuate again? Because the first time around, people are always like, oh, we'll help you out, we'll help you out. But as it gets on and on and on, people are starting to get tired of it. It changes the news cycle and they switch it up because people are tired of hearing about the same stuff over and over. And you saw it with COVID. It was like breaking news, this, that. And now, even though COVID, some people still get COVID, it's just not a thing anymore because the news can't sell it. And now with Florida, then they're like, hey, how many times can we still run the same news cycle till people get tired of it? And then we got to pivot to something completely new. And that's where it becomes really, really dangerous for a lot of Floridians, because once the news cycle changes and they're going to say, hey, we're going to change to new topics here, election or whatnot, then people are going to be like, well, it's always going to be it's always going to be news sources. It's always going to be in the news. Yeah, that's what you think. That's confirmation bias. Look it up, because just because you think it's always going to be in the news doesn't mean that every time. Look at how much North Carolina is in the news, and look at how much South Carolina is in the news, and look at how much disaster relief they used for the other hurricanes that came. Some of these parts of town have still not recovered from 5-10 years ago. And so now you're looking at it like, oh, it might be that this time my house might be destroyed and there is no services to gonna come help me out. And now you're gonna have time to think, what are your next moves? And from a perspective of a business owner, this is what I always try to look at. I'm always trying to maximize profit and decrease the risk in my personal life, privately, and anywhere else. Now you're like, you're one of these people that always are gonna maximize everything. And I'm like, yeah, because that's how you get ahead. And so now I'm looking at it, what is it gonna cost me to move to St. Louis? What is it gonna cost me to move to the Bay Area? What is it gonna cost me to move to Texas? What is it gonna cost me to move to a whole nother state? Because if there's no emergencies in other states, no natural disasters, your company might qualify for relocation credits. And I'm like, what is that? So some states and some local city municipalities are actually offering you as a business owner money and tax credits to relocate there because they want you. So that might mean that when you're looking it up, you're like, hey, maybe I need to move where I'm actually wanted. For me and my business, I was not wanted in California. They did not want me. They did not treat me nicely. So I left. And in Las Vegas, I've been treated very nicely. And that's why I'm here. And I love it. And so I have no plan on staying unless it's going to be natural disasters. And people might say, oh, the heat. I absolutely love it. I have problems when it gets cold. When I grew up in Switzerland and I was in the service in Switzerland with the cold and freezing my toes off, and the wind chill just went through your jacket and you were cold, wet feet walking to school. not for me. Did that for so many years. Try to not go back during that time. Nope, nope, nope. Snow, I'm allergic. If I see snow outside, it's not my cup of tea, tell you that. So now you're like, hey, that might be good to look at if you're gonna thinking about relocating or moving, because there's this one company that's gonna hire 50 people in Las Vegas, and they said over the next few years, and they're gonna get huge credits. So if you have employees, might be worth looking into it and say, hey, Tampa's no longer my home. Maybe it is another state. And I think there's going to be a huge migration to states that offer services like that, because it is so smart. They're going to make it up in revenue, in investments, and all this other stuff. They're going to make it up. So if I was the mayor, I would say to all these people, if I was the mayor of Las Vegas, I'd say, if you're being hit by Tampa and you're a business owner and you want to hire 1 or 2 people in Las Vegas, 3 of them, we'll help you relocate. We'll help you. We'll partner with U-Haul or something, and we will get you located. We'll pay some of the rent. We'll help you get established here. We'll give you whatever you need to be successful, so that there's more business owners, more people caring about the community, and moving on. So just my 2 thoughts. And maybe I should run for mayor and see what happens, and try not to get corrupted while doing it. That might be the hardest part. Try not to get corrupted while you're doing it. But yeah. So I gotta delete this video if I ever run for mayor, because I think it's just brutal. Brutal. So this was just a small little video, giving my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think. If you haven't, please like and subscribe. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. And we're still at record-breaking temperature. It's like 90 out, and it's like my favorite temperature in Las Vegas. 90, I could spend like this with a little breeze, spend in the 90s all day, every day. Outside, just love it. So let me know what you guys think about all this. And yeah, if you have been thinking about relocating, let me know where, so I can look into it, because it'd be super interested to see where people are going. And migration patterns, so always fascinated me. So I will see you in the next one.